We just got to look inside a recent xAI all-hands meeting and whoa, the curtain has been pulled back on an ambition so huge it almost doesn't seem real. We're not just talking about another tech startup here. We're talking about a company that calls itself a toddler, but has a serious plan to become a titan when that literally reaches for the stars. So let's dive into how they think they're going to pull it off. Right out of the gate, you have Elon Musk himself framing his own company as a toddler. Now, that sounds funny, but it's not just a throwaway line. This is a deliberate strategy. It immediately creates this narrative of being the underdog, of having unbelievable speed and shocking growth. It basically frames their whole story as one that's supposed to defy all expectations. And this slide really puts that challenge into perspective. I mean, look at this. While their competitors are basically established adults, some have been around for over 20 years with massive teams, huge resources, xAI is the new kid on the block. They're the toddler in a room full of giants. And as you're about to see, this toddler is learning to run at a pace that is just stunning. So, how in the world is this so-called toddler already claiming to be outperforming the adults in the room? Well, the answer isn't just about what they've built. It's about how fast they're moving. It's all about velocity. Get this, according to what was shared in the meeting, in just 2.5 years, they claim they've already shot to the #1 spot in voice AI. They say they're generating more images and videos than all their competitors combined. Their forecasting model, Grok 420, has apparently beaten every other AI out there, and they're topping a whole bunch of other leaderboards too. It's just this blitz of achievements in a ridiculously short amount of time. And this, right here, gets to the absolute core of their philosophy. Musk basically argues that in the tech world, your current rank, it just doesn't matter that much. What really matters is how fast you're getting better. It is all about velocity and acceleration. The thinking is, if you're moving faster than everybody else, then taking the lead isn't a question of if, it's a question of when. It's just inevitable. But that kind of insane hyperspeed growth, it creates its own set of problems. The way you organize a company with a few dozen people just completely breaks down when you have several hundred. So to handle this new scale, they announced a major reorg. Musk uses this fantastic analogy from biology to explain it. He says a company is like an organism. It starts as this simple blob of cells where everyone does everything. But as it grows and gets more complex, you need specialized organs to handle different jobs. And that's exactly what's happening at xAI. They're growing their organs. So what are these new organs? Well, they're 4 core product divisions. You can think of these 4 pillars as the new backbone of the entire company, and each one has a very specific and, you guessed it, a very ambitious mission. Okay, let's break them down. First, you've got Grok and Voice. This is their big foundational model that they want to turn into an everything app for knowledge workers. Next up is coding, which is all about automating the creation of software itself. Then there's Imagine, their pillar for turning any idea into pictures and video. And finally, you have Macrohard. And yes, the name is 100% a joke, but its goal is dead serious, to create a full digital copy of entire companies. To give you a sense of the sheer scale of that Imagine pillar, just look at these numbers they shared. They claim to have generated 6 times billion images in the last 30 days. And just for a little context, they pointed out that a competing Google model did about 1 billion in that same time frame. That is a staggering 6-to-1 difference. And if you thought that was wild, it gets even crazier with video. The team claims that users are now generating nearly 50 million videos every single day with their tools. They believe that's more than every other company in the space combined. And remember, this is coming from a team that, by their own admission, had, and I quote, no code internally for diffusion at all just 6 months ago. The core tech for all this stuff. That's just an insane rate of progress. Now, let's look at their coding division. The engine driving that whole pillar is this really powerful idea: recursive self-improvement. It's basically the dream of AI. You build an AI that's smart enough to improve itself, which then builds an even smarter version, which then improves itself. You get this exponential feedback loop where the AI just gets better and better, all on its own. And this leads to a pretty mind-blowing prediction for the future of programming. See, right now, AI is like a super-powered assistant for human coders. But Musk is predicting that by the end of this year, AI won't just help you code. It will bypass human coding altogether. You'll just give it a prompt and it will create the final optimized program, the binary, directly. That's not just a new tool, that's a complete revolution in how we make software.
And this brings us to what is easily their strangest and most ambitious pillar of all, Macrohard. We talked about the name, but the mission is something else. They're literally trying to build a digital human, an AI agent that can use a computer exactly like a person does, from designing complex rocket parts and engineering software all the way to running entire companies digitally.
The team described it this way, which I think is just the perfect summary. You know, humans got this massive intelligence boost when we got computers. Well, now they want to give that same exact advantage to AI. It's a completely different way of thinking about what an AI is even for. Okay, so you've got all of this world-changing software ambition, but what in the world are you going to run it on? Well, that's where the other side of the coin comes in, the physical hardware. Let's take a look at the AI supercomputer they're building to power all of this. They're building this absolutely colossal facility out in Memphis, and we are talking numbers that are just hard to wrap your head around. Over a gigawatt of power, the largest Tesla battery system in the entire world for energy storage. They already have more than 300,000 high-end GPUs running right now, and the speed of the build-out is just breathtaking. They are building entire data halls, each with over 800 miles of fiber optic cable in less than 6 weeks. It's just nuts. But here's the kicker. This immense supercomputer on Earth, turns out it's just phase 1. The final part of their all-hands meeting revealed the true, ultimate goal of their mission, and it connects xAI directly to SpaceX. And it really all boils down to this one simple question. Why would you build the world's most powerful AI just to keep it trapped on what Musk calls a tiny dust mote in space? He argues that to truly understand the universe, you can't just sit here and think about it. You have to actually go out and explore it. And this is their proposed path to get there. It's straight out of science fiction. Step 1. Use SpaceX rockets to launch data centers into orbit, putting hundreds of gigawatts of computing power into space every single year. Step 2. Build factories on the moon to construct AI-powered satellites right there. And finally, Step 3. Build a mass driver, which is basically a giant electromagnetic catapult, to just fling those AI probes out into deep space, one after another after another. The team ended on this thought, and it's a powerful one. You know, it's one thing to build an AI that can answer your questions or make a funny picture. It is a completely different thing to build a galaxy-spanning intelligence. What would something like that discover? What would it become? And that right there, that is the grand question that xAI is ultimately trying to answer.